This show is part of the Proclaim Podcast Network, thoughtfully crafted, faithfully told stories that proclaim His name. More at proclaim.fm.
Hey guys, it's Paul here, and today is a little bit different. As you know, we're just about to release the Season 10 finale of Compelled next week. But today, we're bringing you a special episode from one of our sister shows on the Proclaim Podcast Network called Story Partners. Just like Compelled, they use immersive storytelling to thoughtfully craft together testimonies that make you think, all the while proclaiming the name of Jesus. It's created by my friends Walt and Annie Manus, and they have literally traveled across the world to collect some of the most amazing testimonies you'll ever hear. And today's story is no exception. So without further ado, please enjoy and ponder at the glorious work of our good God in this episode of the Story Partners Podcast.
Welcome to the Story Partners Podcast, a show featuring stories of transformation told by the people who lived them. I'm your host, Annie Manus, and we're so glad you're here.
My day started out like any other normal day. On my way to work, I was feeling a little bad, but I said work is work. I can go there. It's easy enough for me to do. And then the next thing I know, I was being pulled out of a car saying, hurry, you got to get out.
In today's story, you're going to hear from Connie Calhoun. Connie lives in Georgia, and she's a wife and mother to 3 grown sons. We got connected with Connie through her son, Devin, whose story you're going to hear in a few weeks. When we were meeting with Devin about his own story, he started to tell us about his mom and all that she had experienced with the Lord, and we were just blown away. We asked him if Connie would be willing to share her story, and she very bravely decided that she was ready to share it publicly for the first time ever. We are so encouraged and inspired by Connie's faith, and we know you will be too. This is Season 4, Episode 4, called I'm Not Who They Say I Am.
My husband, he woke up one morning and said that he wasn't feeling well. He wasn't going to work. And I said, I don't feel great either. And I'd say, I believe it's just a stomach bug. I don't work in a truck like you. It's an office, it's a bathroom there, anything. I can go ahead and go. Well, I get on my way to work and I said, well, maybe if I get something to eat, maybe it'll settle my stomach. So I stopped by McDonald's, got something to eat. Nobody's in the car with me. That's my time going to work to pray. Where we live, you have to go over the Sidney Lanier Bridge, which is this tall, massive bridge. And the last thing I remember was turning on to the causeway. I did not remember anything else after that. I woke up. There was a lady saying, we got to get out of here. The car, you got to get out. And I'm like, what? Huh? She said, you got to get out of here. And so I'm looking and there was smoke coming from the car. She helped me out of the marsh and lay on the side of the road for the paramedics to come. I remember the paramedics getting me and taking me in the ambulance. So the first thing I kept saying, I need to call my husband because I don't understand, what happened. I truly thought that I was dying because I saw blood over me. I couldn't move my leg and my chest was hurting. And the paramedic got the phone and he said, she's not dying. She had an accident, en route. And for them to get there, they're trying to get glass out of my face, off of my neck and everywhere. So I keep asking, where's my husband? Where's this? I don't understand. I didn't know what caused the accident or anything. a Georgia Highway Patrol came in and he started asking me questions. Do I consent to a, blood alcohol test? And I said, yes, because I don't drink. And he asked me what was in that cup. And, I told him flavored water. So, they were running tests on me. And mind you, at this time, I still can't move my leg. I don't know what's going on with my leg. I have a cut here on my neck, my hand. I couldn't move this arm. I could barely move this leg. So originally they thought maybe I had a stroke. They said that I was driving on the side of the road, hitting signs, driving erratically, and it ended, the front end of the car was in the marsh. It was this officer that was there. Then, he just started, asking me questions about, being confused. And then all of a sudden after, I guess, maybe the blood test, he came in and he tells me that I actually hit someone and that someone died. I don't remember any of that happening. I need my husband. I need somebody to help me with this because, I don't know. I don't remember. The next thing I realized who this person was that was in that end, it was a police officer sitting there to make sure I did not leave. One of the nurses said, because she's not understanding, can somebody come in? And they said, no, she's not listed as someone who would need someone to talk or speak for them, even though she's, she can answer questions. But the nurse is saying she don't understand what happened. I'm still just trying to wrap my head around hitting someone and someone dying. And I don't remember that happening, didn't have no intentions on doing that. Then I kept, telling myself over and over, see, if you would not have left home, if you would not have did this would not have happened. They eventually let me go from the hospital and go home because the state patrol said that he believed it truly was a medical issue and he didn't have any charges. They took me home. I was hurt. The doctor that I worked for, she wanted to FaceTime because she's trying to help figure out what was wrong with me. And then, she was trying to do all kind of things, but my face was swole, really big. Just one day I was looking on Facebook and people were commenting that I knew this person, saying I was having an affair with the person, got upset with them, and tried to run them down on purpose. This reporter, he was writing so many different articles that were not true, about me. It was just so many different stories that were going on. Everything was just out there. It was a racially charged time, and Brunswick, Georgia, in my case, was caught up in that. That was not who I was. It bothered me so much for people to believe all of the things that were being put out on social media. I tried to live my life in an honest, caring way to try and be helpful to anyone that I come in contact with, to listen to people, to encourage, to uplift. And what got me is to the fact that, okay, I didn't want anybody that I know to believe that I would do such a heinous thing, because that's not who I am, not what I stand for. And then to also say that I was running around cheating on my husband, who I loved for 30 years. And then also my children. They're having to walk around and people look at them and gasp or talk. I knew, even though my name was Scandalized, I'm not that person. The messages that were sent, we were getting random calls and getting death threats. The Georgia State Patrols, he called and said that he didn't have any charges for me, but he told my husband that he should get a lawyer for me. My husband had to come up with money to get a lawyer. They were calling different lawyers and different things, and he found a lawyer who said that he would take the case, but for they would need $10,000. And we were all like, where is $10,000 gonna come from? So all of the family pitched in. With the accident, they did say that I ran into the back of his truck, which I guess he went into a tree. And then my car kind of, it plunged down into the marsh. This person was a pastor. The lawyer gave us pictures of the car. My car landed on a tree, a small tree, which kept it from going all the way into the marsh and me drowning. Later on, we found out that I was going to be charged and I had needed to turn myself in, which would be best versus the police coming and handcuffing me from my home. So, that was the scariest thing in my life. I remember just crying to my husband saying, I don't understand, again, why I'm going to jail for something I did not mean to do. It was just horrible. I didn't know for a while, but at the point of the whole accident, the Ahmaud Arbery case was going on. In Brunswick, Georgia, there was a lot of racial tension in that area because a young black man was shot and killed by 3 white men after they chased him down. And so at that point, the district attorney had a lot of corruption to do with that. She did a lot of hiding information, and she's running for re-election, and they were pushing for different things from her. And she was using me as a political pawn for her to get reelected because of the Ahmaud Arbery case. I was in the car with my husband and Devin and driving. My sister-in-law met us there, my oldest son, my pastor, he met us there. We had a word of prayer, and we were getting ready to go in, and the sheriff actually came out. And I still can barely walk. I still can barely move this arm. He said, you can lean on me and I'll take you in to be processed. Tears rolling down my eyes, and I'm looking at my family like, I got to leave. And then they come and get me to fingerprint and to take my mug shot, and we go in the room, and she has this bag, and she said, I need you to take off all of your clothes and put them in here. So I'm looking like, okay, are you leaving? So I have to take off all of my clothes and they're in front of her. And then she tells me that I have to take my dentures out. I have a partial plate in there. I have to take that out. And, lift my tongue up and all that. And she got to look at that to make sure I don't have anything in between my partial and my gum. Then she, with the whole thing about, bending over, coughing, and they searching all of you. And all I can remember is crying, because that takes away your dignity. They give you clothes that someone else had worn. And I couldn't understand you giving me underclothes that someone else had worn. I could barely walk. I still had open wounds on my face. So then they take me and they made me walk. And I was in this extreme amount of pain. They said my family would have to bring my medication up there from the doctor in order for me to have medicine. I was treated like a criminal. I felt like a criminal to be in that position, for them to be searching me, taking my clothes, and just totally locking me up. I don't understand why I'm here. And I kept, was telling myself it was an accident. And they put me in this room, still block walls. There's a hospital bed in there. There's the toilet with the sink, the metal sink on top of it, and a hospital tray. No lights, no windows, no nothing. And I'm just in there. I can't believe any of it. This should not happen to me. All I could do was cry.
If you'd like to listen to the rest of Connie's testimony and hear how God intervened, you don't have to wait. It's available right now on the Story Partners podcast. It's the newest episode that they just released. Just search for Story Partners on your podcast app. Connie's testimony is Season 4, Episode 4, titled, I'm Not Who They Say I Am. Or you can just click the link in your podcast player show notes right now. Again, that's the Story Partners podcast. That's all for now. We'll see you again next week with our Season 10 finale of Compelled.